I'm Andrew, and I'm setting out to make better videos for diesel enthusiasts. Follow along as I review products, do how-tos, and share my personal trucks here on Just Diesels. What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be reviewing the new second gen headlights from Alpharex. These are something that has been long awaited. Very excited to see these guys, and yeah, let's take a dive into these. Okay, so before us, we have the Alpharex second gen headlights. Just to get into the nitty gritty of these, there are two basic build levels for these lights. There is the Luxx and the Nova. The Luxx is going to be the more budget-friendly option. That's going to have a dual projector, and then the Nova is going to be the top-of-the-line version. It is a quad projector headlight. Now, between these two, they're all going to have the same basic features. So they're going to have either white or amber DRL. They're going to have the startup sequence when you turn on the truck. Everything about them is going to be the same other than the light output, and that's really what's going to separate these lights. For the Luxx, you're going to see still a huge jump in output over stock, but it's going to use their slightly lower end diode. And then for the Nova, it's going to use their highest end chip, and it's going to be 4 of those rather than 1 functional projector. So in terms of output, there's definitely a difference. We're going to get into that later in the video, but here's a few couple clips just so you guys can take a look. Now, these two lights are also offered in 3 different colorways. There's going to be Alpha Black, Black, and Chrome. It can be a little confusing, but to summarize this, Alpha Black is going to have a full gloss black housing with smoked DRL strips. The black trim is going to have black with some chrome accents, and the DRLs are actually going to be a clear lens. For the Chrome, the full light is going to be chrome. This is going to work really well for a lot of guys like my personal truck, have some chrome accents, want to maintain a little more classic feel. That is where these lights are going to really shine. These also match their taillights, so they do have taillights. I did a separate review on these as well, but again, those colorways are going to tie into the tails. So if you're trying to coordinate, they do match really well between the two of them and kind of keep the same styling front to back on the truck. Now, you guys came to watch this video to see the difference in light output, so let's go take both these headlights out in the dark and see how they actually perform. In front of me, you're going to see 2 different trucks. One has the Luxx and one has the Nova. But before we start with that, I want to show you guys what these stock SLT lights look like on my second gen. That'll set a baseline. So my second gen here still has stock headlights. Let's take that out and see what that looks like. And as you can see, there's not a whole lot going on. These things are extremely dim. If you have a second gen, you know what that's like. But at least this is going to set us a baseline to compare everything else against. Next, let's turn on the Luxx headlights. This is the single projector, and even though it is a more budget-friendly option, you can see how much brighter these are than stock. I was actually pretty blown away by the difference in light output. I think a lot of people when these lights were first launched really pushed towards the Novas thinking that they needed that level of brightness, but the Luxx lights are really cool. They offer a huge jump over stock. They look a little more factory than the Novas, and as you can see, they are still plenty bright. But of course, let's go to the Novas. These things are insanely bright. This is a huge jump up, and these are going to be exactly what you would see out of their 3rd gen lights for really the Luxx and the Nova. It's the same diodes, same projectors, all that kind of stuff. So it's going to see familiar output, but just a massive increase in light output. This is basically the most light that's ever come out of a second gen headlight, and it's really, really cool to see options like this on the market. So one more time, let's just compare these 3. So we have stock, now we have the Luxx, and now we have the Nova. That is a huge, huge difference in light compared to stock, and really Luxx or Nova, either way, you're doing quite well. So now that we have that out of the way, let's talk a little bit more about the fit, finish, everything else on these lights. You're going to notice that Alpharex actually made these into a one-piece headlight. If you've popped out the headlights on your second gen before, you're going to notice that the stock light is actually a multi-piece design with a retaining bucket behind it. These headlights really simplify the install process because they're just a single-piece light. Initially, I wasn't super sold on this because I felt like that split design really was kind of signature of the second gens, but the install on this is so much easier. Taking apart the stock headlight, fighting to get all those different pieces out, and then putting these new ones in really kind of cements home how much easier it is to install a single piece light. So while some people are a little torn on that visually, I think in terms of fit and finish, install, everything else, it's a pretty nice setup. One note is that there is a slight gap from the fender because of that single piece light design, but I can kind of forgive it with how much easier they are to get in and out of the truck. Just the whole simplicity of the design process and everything else. Everything is just a little more streamlined because it's a single piece design. In terms of installation, everything on these is going to be 100% plug and play, and they work on both sport trucks and non-sport trucks. They have a little harness in here that you can swap, and likewise, you can also swap the DRLs very easily in the back of the light between amber and white, depending on how you want the truck to look. If you want to change it down the line, again, super easy. You just disconnect the connector or reconnect that connector. For the DRLs, it's going to be pretty much plug and play. You are going to have to do a fuse tap, but that'll happen under the dash to a keyed harness. And again, you will have these DRLs that work as soon as the truck turns on. You get a really cool startup sequence as the truck turns on, and that can be either white or amber. So far, I haven't really said anything too bad about these lights, but I do want to say they are not cheap. In terms of other options at the market for second gens, these are significantly more expensive, but there's also never been anything in this quality range for second gen trucks. If you're cross comparing this with dropping LEDs in your stock housings, these are definitely going to have a lot more distance vision, a lot more focus, and that's because they're using a projector lens, right? If you're just dropping an LED in the stock housing, you're going to get a lot of brightness, but it's going to be really scattered. There's no direction to that light. With the projectors, what you're really getting is focusing that light intensity. It's going to shoot it down the road. It's going to have a nice sharp cutoff so you're not blinding oncoming traffic. You're getting what you pay for with these. I do think they are a very, very nice product, and I would say that the output, the fit and finish, everything about how they work is pretty in line with the price. Again though, still not cheap, and I totally recognize that. So if you are torn between which one to get between these two lights, hopefully that helps you guys. I would have to say, if you're on the fence, if you're looking for a budget option, the Luxx lights are a really, really good bang for the buck. They are still way brighter than stock. They have a little more OEM look, and I actually think these might be what I run on my personal second gen if I went with these, right? It just looks a little more factory. The Novas, however, are going to have the absolute most light output. So if you want a little more futuristic design and you just want the most light output, hands down, Nova's the way to go. But hopefully this helps you guys see what these actually look like on the road, see the different colorways, see the different DRLs, and everything else about them. If you have any questions about these, please comment down below. Let me know. Always happy to give my honest 2 cents on them. And I want to also say thank you so much to CJC Off-Road for lending me their truck to film this, lending me these lights to film with. If you guys want to support them, I have links down below to order these lights on their website. Thank you guys so much, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.